Morning, I'm Stephen, and our story begins today at the chicken coop. The story revolves around one of my favorite birds, referred to as golden feathers. So golden feathers will stand in for a very important message today. After we leave the chicken coop, we take this lovely bird to Foxtown. And in fact, today will be her last day in existence. But we don't say or do this lightly. Golden Feathers has been with us for over 1,000 days. A fairly long life for a chicken. And during that time, she has gifted us with 700 to 800 eggs and added the organic and natural protein to many a people's breakfast. And throughout that time, she has sung enthusiastically. But it has come, that time, friends, when it is time for the transition. And I might add, as you look upon her, her comb has lost her luster. She's fallen in body weight, and she doesn't go to the feeders anymore. And Foxtown is a real place, and it's part of the bridge for my chickens from their long and beautiful lives, as long as possible, to that other space. And throughout those 1,000 years, she has lived her life completely. And I must say, I haven't heard her complain even once. Okay, friends, here we are, slowly approaching Foxtown, climbing that big earthen promontory on the other side of the lake, that place which many of you would know as the spot that Orion fires his rockets at the festivals. So we come here today to utilize the carcass of a long-lived and really fine bird. And right here at these golden junipers, off to my side, we will place Golden Feathers for the completion of her transition. The fox den with the fox and the kits are children. And we'll utilize what's remaining of the carcass here in a very good way, and also allow Golden Feathers a quick and rather painless exit from our world. Lest some of you feel that this is fairly cold, we need to consider the options. And does she trust me? She trusts me. I have held her, fed her, and she trusts the hands now that are holding her to make this decision about the timing of her leaving. It's important to remember that nothing is being lost here. The extensions of her life, her song and eggs and merriment have moved on into the ethers and have nurtured the impulse of life, and in a small way or more have fed life's river. But the alternative is to allow her a slow decline. Flies would follow her, find her, and maggots might even take hold before she lived out her last moments. And in the meantime, which has already begun, other chickens would begin to peck at the back of her head. It's just the way it is in the organic raising of eggs. Some might think of some tetracycline or separation, but friends, she has done her life beautifully, and we can't have natural and organic protein if we introduce tetracycline or any other type of medicines. I'm also happy, even though this is always a little bit difficult, especially for a bird who would jump up on the perch and ask me to pet her. But I'm also reminded that when I place her down here, it will be placing someone who has lived her life fully. This, by the way, friends, is a good time to introduce the theme of the coming festival. This year's theme will ask the question of who are we really and what's going on here. So at this point, I place golden feathers at my feet, young lady. So yes, again, nothing is being lost here. We do what we're being asked to do. But the issue is beautifully and appropriately asked at this time. What is it that we are doing with our lives? And the question of the theme of the festival, of who are we really, it's going to be answered as we are that of consciousness, that which began and preceded our life here, and that which may follow our stay in this world. The story of Golden Feathers is a story we can all long to and all relate to, because it's the story of life in existence. We're all given these faculties, the vehicle, these containers, and from them are asked to extend the gifts of life into the world around us, to warm and illumine the space that meets us. That's what's being asked. And in time, we all make this trip to Foxtown, a different way in a different place. But it's really important that we come to that point in our lives where we can say there is something next for us. And we know that by answering the question of why are we here? And why we're here so that the gifts of our consciousness, those gifts of love, those gifts of creation, those gifts of friendship, are bestowed without qualification on the world around us. And when we do that, we can have said that we have truly lived. The concern and the problem today, friends, are that so many of us are satisfied with what we would refer to as a virtual life, where we're not taking direct control and initiation in the way of our life or the things that we do, but rather this virtual life is being served up on some other platter. Truly. When I think here of the beauty of the organic egg, the raising of the chickens, the cooking of the eggs, I am reminded of the difference between this relationship to my world from fast foods, which are barely nourishing, served up quick ways. Nor do people enter the garden, nor do people get involved personally in the wonderful art of cooking. So there's huge differences in the way we live, and deciding and determining when we have taken responsibility for our own living being, as opposed to putting it in the hands of others or institutions or ideas. And this comes to the crux of the problem. When we live a served up life, we often become overly attached to the body and the mind. But friends, this body, this vehicle, and our minds do not go beyond this place. And just about all of the dissatisfactions, the pain, and the fears that have joined us in our world have somehow resulted from over-attachment to our mind and body. So instead of realizing that it's an implement and a vehicle, and true, we need to take good care of it, because it's in and through these vehicles that we're allowed to express our consciousness into the world. But becoming overly attached to it introduces many issues, not the least of which, instead of us being out in front of our lives in a basic trust and faithful way, we find ourselves trying to manage our lives, trying to control the bits and pieces. So we're not included and we're not entirely trusting in the flow that surrounds us. But trust we must. And we must answer this question posed for the festival in real and meaningful and personal ways. Because when we put living our life back in the top line, there will be so much more for us. Life will become more fun. The things that we're asked to do will appear and percolate in the space in front of us, and we will become truly a member of her celebration. I think the differences can be illustrated pretty clearly here. I have in my hands the promise of this creation of life, and that she would say, feel me, express me, smell me, see me, feature, and co-create along with me. When we do that, we have built inertia. We have satisfied the mystical ovum from which all life comes forth. If we have been continuously served up in somebody else's platter, the potential was there, but the reality is not. The shell is fragile. Nothing is born from it. Inertia for what might be next may not be available. But on the other hand, the same shell, squeeze as I might, I cannot fracture it. For in this hand, the hand of more, we have filled the mystical ovum. And though life be fragile, she is also strong. And in our embrace of her, we need not farther to worry. She has brought us, she will carry us forth. Life is good and in keeping in that way. So this shell will quickly be diminished, for it has not been manifested. This one will move on to the great sea. And there's something more beautiful here, friends, and we can refer to it in a moment. Because where we have lived that life and taken responsibility, we have before us more life. And so it is. To know that not only does it continue, it continues on in beautiful ways. And even now, she's going to be put back with her friends. Thank you.